Good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be a great day, and it's going to be an exciting day. This is the 21st meeting of the Rotary Club of Makati, year 2025-26, under the banner of Unite for Good. And today, we're going to really do just that. Today, we will be uniting for good all different elements of people coming together to do the right thing for the youth of the land. So with that, as an intro, I'd like to ask our president to please call this meeting to order.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati, I call this meeting to order.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Roger Collantes, and I'm doubly excited for today because of our guest who will be introduced later on. So, to put ourselves in the right perspective, in the right mood, we'd like to ask our new, returnee Rotarian, Shab, to please give us the invocation. First time.
Fellow souls, let us reflect for a moment. We live in concerning times. The world is getting nervous again. Across the continents of man, so many are hurting. Truth is now too often too distant from our grasp, twisted not only by the intents of wicked men, but now even from the inventions and constructs of good men. The fabric of our society is being pulled and tested to breaking point. Misunderstanding has overtaken simple understanding, compassion, empathy. Let us look to the greater power, to the universe, to the greater good, and for the greater good. Let us ask for the resilience to bear lies where truth once stood. Let us ask for the strength to seek and speak the truth, even if it hurts us. Let us ask for hope to bring light back into our world. In our vocations and businesses, in our communities and social circles, in our families. Right to left, liberal to conservative, agnostic to zealot. Even now, one of the few languages we can all still speak in common is the truth. Let us speak it, but let us know that we cannot do this alone. Amen.
Let's remain standing for the national anthem and then the RCM hymn. Along the way, bringing hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati to make our friend open as good as we we will live in service of ourselves, and this is why we succeed. Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders in unity, always ready to serve humanity. Always bringing good benefits along the way, bringing hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, bringing hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati. Woo! Big hand. You may now sit down, I think. Yes, although we will do the four-way test. All Rotarians, please stand up. The four-way test. You are going to be tested today. So I'd like us to reflect on the four-way test of Rotary service, crafted in 1932 by American Rotarian Herbert Taylor during a time of corporate and financial crisis. It is meant to cut through noise and complexity, as mentioned, with one single question. How do we think, say, and do when doing the right thing seems hard and when self-interest conflicts with selfless service? If you adhere to the Rotary ethics test, please repeat after me. Is it the truth?
Is it?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it?
And the answer to the four questions is a resounding. Thank you, Rotarians. You may now sit down. At this point, I'd like to acknowledge our guests, our supporters, silent supporters, especially our aunts who normally come when we needed them most. Okay, we have a lot of them today. First, our dignitaries, our past district governor, Tony Kila, stalwart of Rotary. Our aunts, Tess Asiocha, please stand or wave. Yeah. Rina Collantes, please. Okay. Rachel Harrison. My favorite mom, Ibon Kwan. My ninang, our ninang, Christine Turno. Mitzi Parungao. Yeah. Our guest, the son of Stephan and the daughter, Max Holzinger, and Mikey Holzinger. Guests from the people who put together all this book launching, none other than Rotarian Rick Gindap. And I just rattle off the name of the people who made that possible, that book that will be shown later on. Ses, Billones, Jasmine Lim, MJ Amos, Patricia Ibanez, that table, Rashina Tuason, Miguel Lim, Israel Contreras, Del Rodriguez, Bolti Gango, and Micah Torres. A special mention to our Tuloy ng Kabataan Foundation, Father Matthew Duche. I almost missed that, okay? Elise Cruz, Is it Crusade or Cruz? Cruz, okay. And then Rotary Club, Rotary Act of Makati. AJ Zambrano, are you here? Yeah, there you go. Adrian Manuel, Princess Poi, Kenneth Villamor, and one last is Jig Gamboa. I would like to also acknowledge some birthday celebrants today. Not today, this month. If they don't forget the date, so you can ask them for a rain check. Okay. So birthday celebrant Peter Manzano, January 28. Wala siya dito. Si Ray Del Rosario, 29. Leo De Leon, February 1. And Wilson Lim, February 1 also. Our Rotary Aunt celebrating their birthdays on January 30, Rose Padiernos, and then Ellen Tan. Happy to let you know that two couples are celebrating their wedding anniversary, Peter and Pam Manzano, on January 28. And finally, Purdy and Menchit Ordobesa, January 28. Wow. I hope not in the same church, okay? Same day. Okay, so we have something for you. We're going to call the best of the best tenors from this club. Okay, I think, yeah, but he disappeared. So where are you? There. Boss, yon. There you go. Louis, please do the honors. This is something that our celebrants look forward to.
Okay.
Can-
Aren't you guys jaded with my singing? Okay. It is your birthday, your wedding day. Let's celebrate this important day. We greet you deep in our hearts still. A happy birthday and happy wedding day.
Yeah. Only once in a while you get that kind of performance here in Rotary. Okay. You can get the check later on for that performance. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So now I'm going to give the president his committee announcement. Oh, wala dito. Sige. Committee announcement. Let's see. Paulo, do you have anything to announce for your committee? Sino? Kit, of course. Paila. Mr. Paila, give him a big hand.
Just thank you. So remember tonight there is the welcome of the guests through who are the awardees or the district winners of Paila. So they're coming this evening, and there will be a dinner this evening to welcome them, and then they will go in and they will be using this room and the rooms downstairs on the second floor over the next couple of days. So many of you have already signed up for different events, but there is also one or two spaces left on Tuesday, and also I think on Wednesday, and also on Thursday if you wish to. Plus on the Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday's today, Wednesday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, if anybody at this late stage would still like to go to visit the Magsaysay Foundation's office, whether you'll be shown around the library and given a talk about the Magsaysay winners, that is available tomorrow. Please pass your name, get your name through to Angie or Ron, and you can join. But there will be a number of members going with the awardees on that time. So that's it. Please, but watch out for it. And of course, see you on Friday evening for the Gala Awards evening itself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kit. Big hand. Any other committee chair? I will do for AI, but is there anyone else? Any others? Okay, all right. So for the Rotary Club of Makati AI Academy, we already are on the last leg of this 16, 4 plus 4 plus 6, okay, 14 weeks journey of our 70 Boys Town and Girls Town students who are graduating by the end of the next month. So they're now on the stage called employability. They spent 4 weekends trying to understand what AI is, what it's not, how to detect fake AI, how to be ethical. Once we knew they were already ready to actually embrace AI, they went to another 4 weeks of empowerment where they learn new tools to be able to actually create solutions for community problems they themselves identified within the school and for which they presented 2 weeks ago or last year. So now they're on the final leg. They are now preparing to hack 5 companies owned by Rotarians and address business challenges that are faced by them. So they're all going to have a big challenge in front of them, but it's so exciting. We opened last Saturday together with Stephan as our guest of honor. And Stephan announced that because of what they're doing, is donating 50% of the proceeds of this book launch. So please buy lots of these books. And aside from something that he will announce later on. So I enjoin you, if you haven't seen the AI Academy in action, you still have 4 weeks to see live testimony of people who are flying very high from, eagle-eyed, don't know what to do kind of guys 14 weeks ago to now ready to hack the world. It's just awesome. And Stephan will share with you his experience. So those of you who can come, please just show up and say, we salute what you're doing, guys. I know I'm looking at you. I know you haven't been there. Okay, some of you. Okay, so please. Okay, I won't mention names. Okay. On Saturday, I have a special promotion to make. I'm running a 3-hour, the Empowered Rotarian and Rotarian. We're going to do basic AI. We're going to teach 4 new tools. And we'll be able to let you also try to fly a little. I like to encourage those who don't know anything about AI, those who know little about AI, to please come. Those who know a lot, please don't come. You will just make a mess out of this, okay? All right? All you need to bring is a phone. That's it. Okay? You don't need to learn how to code. No fee. And no wrong question. Ayos ba? It's going to be a safe space. So, with that, I now introduce to you the golden hour of our best president in Unite for Good, Eddie Galvez.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. Maraming salamat. They say that meaningful success happens when preparation meets opportunity, and today we are fortunate to experience both. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Stephan Holzinger, whose presence with us today was made possible through the friendship and goodwill of Rick Gindap. Thank you for opening the door to this valuable connection and partnership. We are also proud of what our club represents, driven by purpose, guided by vision, and committed to action. Our AI Academy continues to grow as a flagship initiative, equipping young people with future-ready skills and opening doors to new possibilities. Our sincere appreciation goes to Mr. Holzinger for joining us today and for his generous support. The proceeds from his book, along with his personal contribution, will benefit both our AI Academy and the Tuloy ng Kabataan Foundation, Inc. This is a foundation in Quezon City. They take in 3 children. I believe, Father, you have almost 400, right? Now? Yeah, 400 children. So I told him we'll visit it maybe in the next few weeks. extending our impact on education, empowerment, and youth development. Last Friday, we had the opportunity to visit Dual Tech. I was with Paulo Turno and George Haxton in Canlubang, Laguna, together with Director Paulo and Christine, as well as first-time visitors, Director Michael Su and George Haxton. We were there to formalize the turnover of scholarship support for 10 students enrolled in the electromechanics course over the next 2 years. So this is a scholarship program, and we're funding 10 kids to go through a vocational program. We were deeply impressed by the institution's facilities, training standards, and commitment to excellence. This program started during the term of past President Bing Matoto. So if you have the opportunity, visit their facility in Canlubang. It's very impressive facility. Seeing the students in action and witnessing how our support directly contributes to shaping their futures was both humbling and inspiring. It reaffirmed our conviction that education remains one of the most powerful tools for social transformation. My heartfelt thanks to everyone who has made this partnership possible, especially, as I mentioned, past President Bing Matoto, who initiated this collaboration with Dual Tech. We look forward to sustaining and strengthening this meaningful program for the benefit of more descending youth. By the way, this is also where we donated a lathe machine. Remember, a global grant that costs, I think, 4 or 5 million pesos, no? Something like that. Yeah. Over the weekend, we gathered in Tagaytay for the district's mid-year review, where we reflected on our progress and identified areas that still need attention as we enter the final 5 months of the Rotary year. I'm so happy it's February. I would like to express my appreciation to District Governor Reggie Nolido and District Secretary Louis Asioche for their tireless dedication to Rotary service beyond the club level. Their leadership benefits not only Rotary Club RC Makati, but the entire district. Although our terms may be temporary and our commitment to the club's success remains long-term and unwavering. And guys, we still have a lot of projects to implement for the second half of the year. We have our dorm, we have our hatch that we already implemented. And by the way, March 3 to 7, we're going to Baguio, Dagupan, and Pampanga. We have a medical caravan that we're going to do with Director Michael Su. So please join us, whoever is free. This week also marks a significant highlight as we celebrate the culmination of our 9-month search for exceptional youth leaders through the Paeng Echenova Youth Leadership Awards, or PHILA. From January 28 to 29, we will host the 10 national finalists for an intensive leadership boot camp led by distinguished speakers Rodrigo and Maria Segura, along with Roger Collantes. These 10 finalists came from 85 nominees, by the way. They were shortlisted na. District Governor Reggie Nolido will also conduct a Rotary basic session to introduce the finalists to Rotary's mission and values. Special thanks to Director Derek Tan for arranging their accommodation at St. Giles Hotel. Thank you, Derek. The national judging will take place on the morning of January 29, featuring an esteemed panel representing the Echenova family, business, media, and academe. The celebration culminates with a PHILA Gala Awards night on January 30 at the Manila Polo Club, beginning with a 5 o'clock p.m. mass. Guys, please come. Please come, no? PHILA has truly evolved into one of the club's most meaningful legacy projects. Special recognition goes to past District Governor Sid Garcia for his leadership and hands-on stewardship of the program. So see you all on the gala night on Friday. And lastly, speaking of legacy initiatives, again, our AI Academy continues to achieve major milestones. As reported last week, our first cohort has now advanced to the employment phase. Beginning in February, we will interview another probably over 100 students to qualify another 70 for the next cohort. No? We are also proud to share that our AI Academy has been selected for presentation at the Rotary International Convention in Taiwan this June. This is a landmark achievement that will allow us to showcase our work to a global Rotary audience, potentially attracting broader recognition and support. For a club, this is a historic moment, as it may be the first time one of our projects is featured in an international Rotary stage. My deepest thanks again to Director Roger Collantes, the AI committee. Some are here, Philip, Patrick, Chris, thank you. And Paulo Turno is also here. And all members who have supported the program through sponsorships, corporate partnerships, mentorship, or participation. This recognition affirms that we are on the right path in building a future-ready generation. As a reminder, on Saturday, as Roger mentioned, Roger will be hosting an AI talk for our members and ants at the RC Makati Clubhouse from 9 to 12 noon, entitled The Empowered Rotarians and Rotary Ants, AI Made Simple, Practical, and Useful. This has been a clamor for the last few months, so we're finally doing it. And I believe this is only the first chapter, no? We will follow it up again later on in the year. If you want to better understand AI in a practical and accessible way, I encourage you to join. So again, thank you, and good afternoon to all of you.
Thank you, President Eddie. Now, the most awaited moment. We're now gonna be able to introduce the man of the hour, and I will not steal the thunder. I'll just give it back to Rick Gandap.
Salamat, Brother Roger. Magandang hapon. So, before everything else, let me begin with a story. Like many enduring projects, the monograph that we are launching today began not with an intention, but with an accident. And I'd like to say meaningful accident because it turned out that we are gathered here today because of that. I was in Paris in June 2022 at the Monocle Quality of Life Conference, and I was outside, the delegates are still gathering, and I was outside Le 19M, Chanel's Temple of Craftsmanship in the city's northern edge. A bus pulled up, and a young man stepped out, slightly uncertain, looking for the entrance. I recognized him as a fellow delegate. That way, I said. His name is Max Holzinger. By the time coffee was poured and the first few panels have been concluded, we were already exchanging notes, seatmates in curiosity. That encounter unfurled into a friendship, the kind stitched together over conversation about cities, design, and architecture, which he is taking with his master's degree in Copenhagen right now. Months later, on my annual immersion trip through Vienna and Lisbon to visit another missionary congregation that I am also supporting and helping volunteering designing their publications, I decided to have Munich as my re-entry in Europe because that is Max's home, and that's where I met Maike, her sister, and their mother, Ira, and their grandmother, Doris. So in that encounter, I met another Holzinger, and his name is Stephan, Max's father. As I would soon learn, Stephan had lived a life steeped in business, negotiation, and diplomacy. Yet, what lingered was not his resume, but his retirement hobby. One he mentioned only over traditional schnitzel in a small Bavarian village somewhere Munich and Bad Tolz. Photography, I said. And he said, street photography. His eyes lit up as he spoke, though he tempered it with quintessential German restraint. It's nothing much, just a pastime. And then he promised to show me some when we returned to Munich. A few days later in Munich, he did. What I saw was not pastime, but passion. Not a weightless hobby, but a gift for instinct. They reminded me of earliest encounters with photography the weighty volumes of Magnum that I always get from book sale, collected iconic images from the Life magazine, for example, and boxed prints of Robert Dosnu, given to me by my friend, the interior designer, Ivy Almario. Or even the book that I bought that influenced some of how I look at portrait photography, the really amazing photographer Platon. I told Stephan what he perhaps did not believe, that these photographs mattered. They were alive and they have value. And he said he was not sure. So we decided collaborating, designing a monograph. And halfway into this entire thing, something lit up in him and he said to me, there must be an institution in the Philippines, since you're doing the design, that we can give the full proceed of this book and the prints that you will see behind you to benefit somebody. I'm a member of Rotary Club. Of course, I have to look after my brothers who are doing much greater things than I am. And I remember another institution that's close to my heart because I always go to church in the EDSA Strand, and that's where I met Father Matthew Duche. And he's one of those people that helps street children, rehabilitate them, house them, reframe their mindset, and prepare them into a new way of life. So I said, there are two organizations that we would like to support with this, if that's okay with you. And he said, okay. And then another surprise happened while we're doing the final design of the book. And he said, what if I go to Manila? And I said, are you sure? Because it's an entirely different beast. You're known for a city of order where everything works, and this requires a different kind of metabolism. But he was very insistent. And not only did he go here, he dragged his children to go here and see for themselves what will be on the opposite end of the world. So today, it is with great pleasure that I would like to introduce Stephan, who found his way to photography at an inflection point in life, following a gradual departure from corporate world toward a more creative pursuit. It was not sudden revelation, but a growing curiosity about how the world reveals itself when one begins to look a little bit slower. A self-taught photographer, he learned through trial and persistence, and he often chose cameras that were far more advanced than his abilities at the time. Each one demanded patience, curiosity, and like a German person that he is, precision. Qualities that gradually shape his way of seeing and over time defined his approach to image making. Before turning to photography, Stephan built a long and distinguished career in business and leadership. He is an established and expertise in crisis and dispute management, serving as CEO and CFO of a mid-sized publicly listed German corporation and guiding it through periods of challenge and change. He also held numerous positions on supervisory boards, chaired committees, and advised organizations on governance and transformation. Alongside this, he wrote editorials and books, lectured, and developed university courses, sharing what experience had taught him about clarity, decision, and resilience. In recent years, Stephan has shifted his focus towards pursuits that allowed more reflection and service. He has been active as honorary consul of the Sultanate of Oman until very recently supporting economic, scientific, and cultural dialogue. And as a mentor and coach for students and startups as well, helping others navigate uncertainty and growth. Photography entered this new chapter not as a pastime, but as a continuation. Another way of engaging with complexity, this time with light and silence rather than words and negotiation. His images often capture stillness with a subtle tension beneath it. You can see them all there. The trace of someone who has spent a lifetime balancing precision and perception. What unites his past and present is a consistent curiosity. an instinct to look closer, to understand what lies beneath the visible. Whether in boardroom or behind the camera, Stephan's work has always begun with the same question: how to see clearly and how to act with purpose when once one does. Today, it is a great honor and privilege to present to you my friend Stephan Holzinger.
Ladies and yeah. Okay. Okay. Did me? Okay. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Rotarians, well, what can I say? I've given many speeches in my life on a wide variety of occasions. My last major speech was in 2020 at the annual general meeting of a publicly listed corporation I headed as CEO and CFO. Okay. My very first speech was in my early 20s in a conference room of the United States Senate Russell Building in Washington, D.C., when I was a long-term intern for U.S. Senator John W. Warner during the Fifth Gulf War, hosting German General Franz Lanz, perfect German name, and his staff for a speech on the system of checks and balances in American politics. Apparently a current topic again these days. Lanz was the German American military representative of the German federal government at the time. In recognition of my initial efforts as a young man, the general let me fly back to Germany in a military transport plane over Christmas so I could see my then girlfriend and my family. As a student, I would not have been able to afford this otherwise. So sometimes speeches can turn out to be rewarding. I do hope this is the case also today. Never in my wildest dreams did I picture myself here in vibrant Manila half a decade after stepping back from executive roles, speaking before your esteemed association. The man sitting on the table, Rick Gindep, one of your own and one of the most creative and noble minds I know, deserves either the credit or the blame for this. Rick and I share a remarkable story. He just mentioned more on that in the book. He's the mastermind behind this. And if my book talk or discussion falls short, please direct your complaints his way. I would, of course, also like to welcome my two children, Max and Mikey, who came the long way from Denmark and Germany to join us here today and to be with me on the streets. Anyway, it is a profound pleasure and honor to join you for lunch and to share a few thoughts about my professional journey and my new and very different passion, street photography. At first sight, having been a versatile entrepreneur, top executive, and also honorary consul on the one hand, and loitering in dimly lit street corners with a camera on the other, does not seem to have much in common. But when I look back at my own professional life to sketch this brief talk, I discovered that the essence of my professional life is surprisingly close to the essence of street photography. Both are about seeing more than others see, acting at the right moment, and telling meaningful stories about people, organizations, and societies. In street photography, the first discipline is observation. You have to read a situation, a street corner, a crowd, often within seconds. You scan faces for fleeting emotions, notice body language that hints at hidden stories, and sense the rhythm of movement before chaos erupts. Light shifts across a vendor's wrinkled hands, a child's glance darts toward something unseen, these details vanish if you hesitate. It may be a moment that never comes back, ever, a loss that I would feel responsible for. Every glance sharpens your instinct, turning the ordinary into a narrative frame waiting to be seized. As illustrated in one of the book's photos, a very fashion-conscious elite woman walks past a younger beggar girl in Munich's Noble Street, Maximilianstraße, a raw emotional clash between two worlds. The woman was a good 50 meters away when I noticed her, and I anticipated her route when she would meet the beggar girl who was dressed in jogging pants with a fashion print on it, sitting on a street corner on dirty ground, holding a paper cup. All kinds of photography teach you to be exceptionally perceptive. People send signals, and you have to know how far you can push in any given situation, photojournalist Mary Ellen Mark once said. The same was true when I served as top executive with around 18,000 employees and 1.3 billion euros in annual turnover, and as chairman of or member of several supervisory boards in the healthcare and private equity sector. Before you can reasonably decide, restructure, or innovate, you must first really see the people affected by these decisions, their motives and intentions, the informal dynamics in large organizations, the fears and hopes behind the numbers and PowerPoints. Such demands become particularly apparent at the traditional staff meetings in German corporate world, where sometimes more than 1,000 employees and many union representatives confronted me with their concerns and fears in open question and answer sessions. Here, it is particularly important to get most people on board with changes that are often unavoidable. That does not mean telling them what they want to hear, but it does require the ability to read situations accurately and to draw the right conclusions instantly for one's own argumentation. In street photography, the second discipline is tolerance of the unexpected and the imperfect. The marvels of daily lives are exciting. You must be prepared for sometimes breathtakingly unexpected moments that you find in the street. Depending on where you are and what time of the day it is, situations can change very quickly and dramatically. Neighborhoods change, the crowd on the street changes. In corporate life, as many of you surely know, situations can change rapidly too. That is especially true for publicly listed corporations, which are subject to special disclosure requirements. A fraud scandal, discrepancies in financial statements, a hostile takeover bid out of the blue. As a street photographer, you do not know what awaits you around the corner. As a business leader of a corporation, you never know at the start of the day what surprises you will encounter, as the sheer size and momentum of such big organizations provide everything humanly possible. For perfectionists, neither street photography nor corporate leadership is particularly appealing, as if the unexpected and imperfect were not bad enough for a native German. This leads directly to the next point. Street photographers must accept that most shots will fail, that sometimes images will be blurred or imperfect, but at least they are authentic. Sometimes, as a photographer, you struggle with the delete button because you're torn between the expressiveness of the photo you've taken and the flaws in the frame, exposure or focus. It is almost unbearable. In my roles in healthcare at a major hospital group in large charitable foundation that I founded for healthcare reforms and in an innovative telemedicine company, we dealt with reforms, digitalization, and new care concepts that were anything but risk-free. These were pioneering efforts. You're entering uncharted territory. You can't follow in the footsteps of others. And yes, you have to question yourself and the path you've chosen, or painfully admit to yourself that you've reached a dead end. You learn to live with a lot of uncertainty, to experiment and to accept that you might not always be understood immediately, but you will still take the shot. This is anything but easy, given the fact that in German corporate law, you're personally liable with all your assets for incorrect decisions. That is a fine line that you can only be successfully navigated in the end if one makes use of discretionary powers and carefully weighs up, adequately documents the basis for your decisions. In street photography, the third discipline from my perspective is courage and speed. Sometimes you find yourself in situations where you can literally feel and smell the tension. You want to take the photo, but it requires a certain street smarts and, of course, courage. In some situations, you either have to be particularly quick and make a getaway, as in the photo from Sicily included in the book, a mafia situation, or you have to pause for a moment, diffuse your situation, perhaps by changing your body posture, smiling, or turning away. You can send a signal of de-escalation and then move slightly into the background before you have the chance to press the shutter release after all. Or you can, of course, play poker, turn the tables, and show with dominance and courage that you will not back down. There is no question that as a business leader, you need a good dose of courage too. Many people in the organization are rather hostile towards you because they want your job or disagree with the goals and directions that you have set. You navigate a complex web of countless interests and stakeholders. There are demanding shareholders, a supervisory board with its own interest, and sometimes aggressive union representatives. There are politicians who see your employees as voters and your corporation as a presentation platform or a malicious accelerant, depending on the situation. Everyone has expectations of you all the time. If you ultimately want to change something, to really get something done, you need precisely this courage to lead the way and stay the course out of conviction. Needless to say, courage alone is not enough. It takes a combination of courage, speed, and the aforementioned ability to read the situation. If you're too slow, resistance can and will grow and regroup. Doubts will grow. A slow pace awakens the human instincts of your opponents, just like in the animal kingdom. On the other hand, if you move too quickly without having done your homework in terms of substance, you will lose support of your business environment too. Just 2 weeks before taking up my position as CEO, I traveled to South Africa, where I fulfilled my childhood dream of diving with the great white sharks, in a cage, of course. We set out to sea in a rather dubious boat. Once there, the organizers dumped fish waste and blood into the sea and then moved on. The sharks picked up the scent and swam against the current, following the trail of blood and waste. At some point, we stopped and lowered the cage into the water. It was interesting to observe. There were smaller young sharks and experienced large old white sharks. The young sharks frequently wasted their energy, their valuable energy, because they were blinded by the fake rubber seals that the fishermen dumped into the water, tied on ropes. The large older sharks used all their experience. They recognized the seal dummies, totally ignored them, and concentrated instead on actually catching the tasty pieces of tuna bait tied on ropes. They read the situation perfectly, and only when they saw a real chance to catch the tasty morsel based on their experience did they strike with incredible speed and determination. You must be able to act in the decisive moment, and when you do, you must give it your all. Or, as Yoda in Star Wars said, do it or do not, there is no try. By the way, once you've dived with great white sharks, it is much easier to dive into a tense street scene to take photographs. Nothing really scares you anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, Rotary stands for service above self, for engagement in local communities, and for the international understanding. When you walk the streets with an open lens, you start to see social dynamics, inequality, the dignity of everyday work, the quiet heroes you normally overlook. People who often seem invisible, but ultimately make much more valuable contribution to society than those who stage their artificial lives on social media. In that sense, street photography is also a school of social awareness and a reminder of why organizations like Rotary matter so much in our societies. I only gave in to Rick's insistence that my photos be published on the condition that it would be for a charitable purpose. From the streets, for the streets was our guiding principle. I want to deeply acknowledge the contribution made by him and his great team at Design for Tomorrow in this context by ensuring that all proceeds from this project remain in the Philippines. It should also be acknowledged that he and his team carried out all design and production tasks for the same good cause. Ladies and gentlemen, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. I could not agree more with Winston Churchill. In that sense, we much appreciate your support for this important project. Together, let's apply street smarts to make Manila and beyond better. Thank you so much for your attention.
Awesome. Congratulations. Wow. That was profound. That's really thought-provoking. And I think it touches the very soul of what he does. Photography is life, living moments, and all of that captured. So today we're gonna do the Q&A before we go to the actual how do we call that tour of the gallery. So we'll have a FAQ. So Q&A. Yes, please, PP Bing. Can someone give a yes, please? Oh,
Yeah, Stephan, you're from, of course, Europe, and I wanted your thoughts on political question related to what, since you did talk about life, right? And so I guess that's very much part of. Anyway, I'm really referring to current political development in Europe, where Donald Trump has begun to shy away, practically shun the NATO. And obviously, Germany is one of those NATO countries that are very prominent. What are your thoughts? I mean, is that something that Europeans are bothered about? Is that something that, like, for example, Canada, of course, not being Europe, but they've already taken certain steps. I'm just wondering what the general thinking seems to be out there in Germany. Thank you.
Well, I'm, I guess, only one of like 350 million Europeans, so I guess I can only speak for myself, but personally, I couldn't be much more appreciative of what Donald Trump said and what he did, because it definitely needed a wake-up call for true Europeans to understand that you cannot ride in the backpack of the United States when it comes to future political regulation and trade and humanity. So I'm personally very thankful for the impulses Donald Trump gave, because there will be no more excuses for European politicians, leaders, and for all of us Europeans to understand that we need to take the future in our own hands and not ride in the backpack of the United States into an uncertain future. Well, I mean, I guess in world history, sometimes diversity is an asset and sometimes it's a pain. The European Union combines both. We do have a lot of situations where we would definitely need to move forward much quicker. It is ridiculous, for example, if you negotiate a Mercosur trade agreement with Latin America for over 25 years, and then you don't get it through parliament in a decisive vote because of some of the countries blocking it after 25 years of negotiations. But sometimes, if you look at a single source like Donald Trump, you appreciate that there are 24 other personalities and philosophies that are probably contributing to the better.
Thank you. From Davos back to street photography. Yes, Tony.
Thank you, Stefan. You are a unique speaker for us, and I thoroughly enjoyed your talk. Um, I'd like to. I did the tour by myself, and I also browsed through the book, which I bought. Okay, billed to my statement of account next quarter. Thank you. Anyway, I, I love to travel, love to visit places, but in my bucket list, I had to. There are places I want to go that, but I think I'll never be able to go to. And you're well traveled. You have pictures there of Cuba. So if I might ask, can you share something about Cuba? It's some place I'll never see. What are the people like? What is the city like as a metropolis? What is anything you can add about Cuba or any other exotic place if you might want to share? Thank you.
You. Well, I've been to many places, but Cuba indeed was also a very touching experience. And as a matter of fact, as I've been on the Philippines for the first time in just like a few days, basically traveling the streets. Been in Santa Ana, Santa Cruz, Chinatown, Binondo, and a few other places. Rick tries to control me where I go, but he always fails. No, I'm just kidding. So I've dived deep into the streets, deep into the situations, and I actually found a remarkable parallel between the Philippines, or even let's say Manila, and Havana. Not just, I mean, probably not from an architectural point of view, but the people are almost the same. A lot of them, even in deepest misery, keep a certain dignity that you rarely find among Westerners who are too saturated. And they try to make the most and the best out of their lives, even in very bad conditions. And I admire that a lot. And I saw a lot of parallels between people on the streets of Havana and people on the streets of Manila. Although, again, the part of the architecture, except for like Santiago and Intramuros, which with a Spanish touch, colonial touch, that is, of course, very different. But the kind of people almost are the same. And I can just share a story of Havana, if that's okay with you. That's, I guess, in the book, if I correctly remember, the guys doing the boxing. I was walking very early in the morning through the streets of old Havana, and there were churches and lots of old people sitting, but I heard some activity, some noise, and I opened the door in one of the backyards, and I saw a court where young people would be training for boxing, which is a national sport in Cuba. And frankly, for some of the Cuban boxing guys, the only way to escape the country when they get into an international competition most of them try to flee during such an international competition to escape the country and escape poverty. And there were like boxing, different ages. One of the pictures shows that that was their only hope, their only future. They tried to excel in that. And by being, street smart, that huge court with probably 20, 25 boxers of all ages training very hard was run by a 90, 95-year-old lady. She dominated all the boxers, although being a very tiny old lady. And she had apparently a lot of pain in her knees and hips and barely could move. And she told me, "You're not allowed to take pictures." And I said, "Well, back then I didn't know it would be for a charity purpose, but I said, well, it's very interesting motive to see how these people try to fight and how they, And she didn't allow me to get in. And actually, she had two guys with her, which were quite convincing at that time, even for me. Yeah. So we ended up in discussing, and I asked, I'm not a doctor, but I run a hospital corporation. So I asked her what kind of pain she's having. And then she said, well, this and that. And it was, didn't even remember, but she could barely move her hips and her knees. So I said, well, I'll come back in the afternoon. And why don't you just think about me letting in then? And I will bring you a little present. And Cuba is in such a devastating situation that you would find old people with open wounds laying on the streets in front of pharmacies, empty pharmacies that would be empty for 10, 14 days with no pain medication, no medication at all, empty shelves, empty shelves. So I walked back many miles to my little apartment and got ibuprofen 800, like 6 or 8 pills that I had in my, And I walked back and I gave the pills to her. And for her, it was like a peace of mind situation because she knew with these 800 milligram ibuprofen, she would get away with pain for a while. I just gave it to her. I didn't ask her to get the permission to photograph, but then when I gave it to her, she went away from the desk and made room for me to get into the court where the boxing happened. This is the story of Cuba. Many similarities, I must say. I was most impressed with how these people struggle, the level of tolerance they have, and how they try to make a living. And they are much happier and have much more dignity than the people I've seen in the West who are much more wealthy. And that makes a big difference.
Thank you, Stephan. DS Aseoche.
Stefan, I thoroughly enjoyed your talk, and I would like to thank Rick for inviting Stefan. The way you framed street photography using the lens of your experience to corporate world is really very, very interesting. The courage and speed which you said you honed during your several years of experience in the corporate world, and then applying the street photography using the principles of perception, patience, and precision. They are really a very good mix. Now, in street photography, when you take pictures on the fly, usually and most of the time, the distance between the subject and the camera, if you're using a prime lens or a fixed lens, would be rather close. And there are times when, of course, street photography would require you being unobtrusive as much as possible. After taking a photo, you melt into the crowd. And then I asked you when we were seated beside in the table, were there instances when there are situations wherein after taking that shot, then the subject really got peeved off or irritated or minded it really that you took a photo. And then with that, how do you handle that? How did you handle that?
Well, a lawyer would probably answer, it depends. Uh,
Yeah. Privacy.
So it really depends on the situation, the country, the culture. There are many legal aspects I don't want to go into right now because there is a right of privacy versus the right of professional freedom. Um, in 95% of the cases, people don't realize that I took a picture of them. Because I'm very quiet, I try to be very discreet. I try to approach at the right moment. And as Rick probably can confirm from walking with me in Santa Ana, I'm very fast. I'm extremely fast. I walk by, I prepare the camera, I take a 1/500th of a second. By the time they think about it, I'm gone. I'm gone. So very rarely people really notice it unless I want it. And in these very rare cases, most are okay. I share the picture with them, which makes them happy by email or WhatsApp later on. I always do. I promise that. I had a few situations where you really need to make a decision if you how to escape the situation. That was that mafia situation in Palermo, Sicily, when I by chance got around the corner and managed to watch the situation where apparently a mafia guy with a German Shepherd dog got money from somebody who had to make a contribution. He didn't, needless to say, he didn't appreciate being in a picture. But I walked away anyway, and he probably, I don't know what he was thinking. So yeah, it's a matter of speed. Sometimes if I see a motive, I take a moment to pause and see. Sometimes you lose because then the motive could be gone forever. But sometimes if you're a bit patient, and patience is not really my strength, as my children probably can confirm, sometimes you need a matter of patience, a moment of patience, because there's a leverage where the situation or the motive could be even better. And it's always this unbearable situation. In Germany, there's a saying: you can have the sparrow in your hand versus the dove on the top of the house. And that's a good question. I mean, how do you decide that? Sometimes so, and it really makes me mad if I lose the situation because I waited too long. And probably the worst situation of all, and that really kills me, is in some situations I need to change the battery, or I pack the camera away, and then you see a situation that you've been waiting for hours. That really kills my sleep at night.
Before we move on to the donation, Miss Anne Rina has a question. Sorry, I have to entertain her. Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you.
I am a little street photographer myself, and I think being a woman, to go onto the streets and try to photograph in situations where they are not so, safe, I think is one of the area. So one of my encounter, which of course Roger didn't know, was in South Africa, where I photographed two children ravaging rubbish, but I was chased away by the locals, and they reported me to the police, but didn't go to jail, of course. But it was really a photograph that I kept until today. And it sort of stopped me from doing so for many years because of the fear. But I think, I really applaud what you do, because from street photography, there's so much more stories to tell. And this is something I think AI will never replace. You can ask AI to create a photo for you, but you can never really tell a story that AI create for you. So thank you so much for being here today. And I think, with that, I can now convince Roger that I can go back to street photography. Thank you so much.
I didn't know that. Okay, so we can have the conversation some more, but I was told we must do the donation part. Please don't leave. and then I think the book signing, and then after that we can have more conversation. Is that okay? Yes, okay. So I give the floor to Rick. Yes.
So thank you very much. And a little before we go there, because our other guest, Father Matthew, has other commitments. And maybe observing Stephan, I work very fast. I came from the province, so I really walk very fast, but he is faster than me. And in answer, Rina, to there were situations, especially with children, where Stephan draw the line when we brought them to all those depressed areas. He does not want to exploit people's misery for the sake of nailing a shot. He told me explicitly that there are things that would be great to photograph, but you don't rob the people of their dignity. And that another layer of my admiration of him happened when there could be an opportunity, but he said no. So um, at this part of this program, may I call on our other guest, Father Matthew and Elise. There will be a special donation for our friends at Anak Tulay ng Kabataan Foundation, which we hope also that Rotary Club can also support in the future. A personal donation. By the way, on top of the book sales and the print sales, Stephan made a cash donation for both institutions today, and that's what we are going to do. First, we would like to call on Father Matthew, maybe here in front. President Eddie, Brother Roger, Elise, to handle the the cash contribution to Anak 10K, to be followed by his donation to the charity of Rotary Club. Thank you. We'd like to ask Max and Mikey to join them in front. And after that, we will also have the formal handover to the donation to Rotary Club. Thank you, Father Matthew and Elise. Now for the Rotary Club cash donation as well. Thank you. So we will continue with the Q&A if you still have time. And otherwise, we will wait for the response of our club president. Thank you so much.
Okay, so wow, that's a lot of donation, right? In one day. Wow, lucky the street children and our marginalized youth in AI Academy. What a great day. What a great day. Thank you so much, Stephan. I think it's not the money, it's more the spirit and the encouragement and the hope that you're giving out today. I think that's the most important.
We'd like to call on Father Matthew if he wants to say a few words.
Thank you so much. I won't be long because I did not prepare pages of talk. So, but you know, Stephan, you said something at the very beginning of your talk. To be a good photographer, the first thing is observation. Am I right? And I think that's one of the most important things that touch me in the way you picture, you make the pictures, of course, but the way you visited also the foundation. It's always a matter of we see really, and then we act. It's not a matter of seeing, but it's a matter of acting. I remember one boy, a street child. He was in the street of Manila, and he told me, he was 10 years old only, and he told me, Father, you know, I smile a lot on the outside, but I cry inside. And we need to see that. And when you explain your pictures, we can see that behind the shot, there are so many things very deep that you want to share. So I'm very touched by what you did, the pictures, the work, and this donation, because you help us open our eyes and not only see, but also act. So thank you so much. And thank you to the Rotary. I saw the Rotary Club everywhere when I'm going to the province. I saw the four-way test everywhere, but I did not know the Rotary. So I'm very happy to meet with you and to see that you are people gathering together, I mean, uniting for good and really acting. And I think it's really the same spirit. It's to see and to act. So thank you so much, really.
Thank you, Father. Now for a response and a gift.
Okay, again, thank you very much, Stephan, for gracing us with your presence this afternoon and really sharing. As Tony Lopez was saying, this is a different meeting for us, but it was really a heartfelt and lovely meeting. You shared, it's like you're a combination of passion and compassion. And, I mean, a lot of your shares I know came from deep within that made that you were very vulnerable. That's why I I personally really enjoyed it. But on behalf of our club, as a sign of our token of our appreciation, we want to give you this is a plaque representing a reef bud in Narvacan, Ilocos Sur. That's way north. Hopefully, Rick will bring you there someday. We planted over 300 reef buds there, and one will be in your name. So you will have a permanent memento. And just a little bit, a bottle of wine to enjoy. Again, thank you very much. And please stay, but our official meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Here, one, two. Okay, last one. One, two. Meron pa ba? Door raffle. Okay. The obligatory door raffle. Okay, please don't leave if you're Rotarian. Okay, this is our ritual. Could we have the raffle now? Ayun na. Please. There you go. The raffle. We're giving up commemorative wine for the winner today. Who's that? Bing? Who won? Who won? Bing. The winner is PP, Bing Matoto. He's the one who clamored for it. Okay, so he deserves it. Okay, so we'll have book signing for in a journey na. We can now ask DS Achioche, let's have some pictures. PP Bing. Then we'll have book signing there. How much is the book, Rick? 5,000, okay? We can charge that to your account later, okay?
Thank you for such a generous donation to our club. I'm really appreciative of your talk. I can afford it and it makes sense. What do you use when you take pictures? Yeah. Use a phone or do you use an app? Most of the old pictures were done with an iPhone set 8. Oh, okay. The new ones I switched to a Leica 2343, very special fixed lens camera. You don't ever use a phone. I always have the camera with
Always. I never leave home without it, like the American Express card.
And are they digital? Is it digital? Do you have it?
It's highly, it's a system, sensor with like 85 megabytes per picture. It's very. Yeah, I think, maybe